Hello everyone, my name is Capp and welcome back to the channel. Another 7 days that I video. We're doing all this in Alpha 18 and this is the experimental build. So if you get some different situations later on down the road after it becomes stable build or some of the stats change or whatever, just do keep that in mind. And in this video I'm going to show you guys the junk turret. This was something that was added in Alpha 18. Fantastic tool. Really do enjoy this turret here. And as you can see, right at the moment it is in sentry mode, but with the junk turret you can pick it up and carry it around and use it like a regular gun. And you also have to pick it up to be able to reload it. But when you decide you want to place it down, you just right click, you get the little green indicator, right click again, and it goes into sentry mode. And one great thing about the turret, the junk turret, is that you don't have to have a power source. It's self-functioning. It works day or night. And the only downside that you have to keep in mind is that it has a proximity. So if you walk too far away, you can see it goes to sleep. So you have to be within a certain distance. We'll test out to see what that kind of distance is later on. But for the most part, I'm going to show you guys how this works, and then we're going to do a couple tests with it. So the junk turret can be found or it can be made. Now, if you're going to find one, chances are you're going to find them in places like the Shotgun Messiah boxes or some of the large safes. Those are the ones I found. And I have seen a couple level 2s pop up, but I've seen a lot of level 1s as far as what people are finding. So you can actually find these. But if you do want to craft one, here's a couple things you have to keep in mind. For starters, you have to have the proper perk for it here. So we'll go into junk turret here. And one of the nice things about Alpha 18 is when you're trying to craft something, you can click right underneath the quantity here and it'll take you to the perk that you're going to need to be able to make it. Underneath the intellect skill tree, now you see one says turret syndrome. You have to be able to buy the first one called science projects, takes 1 skill point. And in order to be able to buy this one, you have to have your intellect all the way down here in level 6. You start off in level 1, of course, so you're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because to get into 6 requires 2 skill points, so you're going to need 6 here, and then you're going to need 1 more skill point here. So you can get this fairly early in the game. Where you're going to run into some problems with crafting it is getting the necessary supplies, because you do have to have a workbench to make it, and you're going to need the schematic. That's right, if you didn't already know, schematics were added back into the game, so you're going to have to be able to find the schematic, use it to learn how to be able to craft it. Then what you're going to need is you're going to need junk turret parts, forged iron, duct tape, scrap polymer, and springs. Now, junk turret parts, as far as everything goes right this very second while I'm recording this video, you can't find them. I've not been able to find them anyway. The only way you can get junk turret parts is by taking one of the junk turrets you found and scrapping it, and that will give you junk turret parts, which you get in this stack right here. Now, the quantity and the amount of junk turret parts doesn't change the quality of when you make it. When you get ready to build this thing, you can see it takes 3, but it doesn't matter the quality of the turret. When you take it apart, you're still going to get basic junk parts. So whether it's a level 1 or a level 5 laying around, you junk it, you're going to get the same parts. That's not going to affect the build at all. So where you're going to run into problems is finding the junk turret to start with that you can scrap, and then forged iron. Of course, you're going to need a forge or get lucky enough to find it or possibly buy it from a trader. Duct tape you can make, scrap polymers you can find pretty much anywhere, and springs aren't too bad. Those are things that you can find relatively quickly. So you may not be able to get this as a first day build, but it shouldn't take you too long to actually make one of these. Now, something to keep in mind is with the junk turret, it is automatic here. So if I go ahead and say I'll spawn in Sylvia here just to show you guys what it looks like, you can see it will continue to shoot until the zombie goes down, even if they go on the ground. It doesn't hit 100% of the time, just like regular turrets does. So it's going to shoot just kind of wild. Now, in order to be able to reload the turret, you have to pick it back up, put it into your toolbar, and then you hit the R button to reload like you normally would any other gun, and then you can place it back down. Now, the ammo that the junk turret uses is just called junk turret ammo. You don't have to have a workbench to make this. It's very simple. All you have to do is find iron. They renamed it. It's no longer called scrap iron. It's just called iron. It takes 3 to make 1 bullet. So you can see it is a little bit pricey, but you can literally find iron all over the place. Take apart an air conditioning unit on the roof or beside a house, and you can take apart cars, and all kinds of filing cabinets. You can get scrap iron everywhere. So it's not hard to find. It just requires a lot of it to be able to make any kind of ammo, but it crafts it relatively quickly. Versus the junk turret, when you get ready to craft that, it takes almost 7.5 minutes. Now here's something else you have to keep in mind, is that you can only have one active at a time. Now you can place more than one down, like this, but you'll see whichever one you're closest to is the only one that's active. So if I scooch over here, this one will go active, then that one goes to sleep, and scooch back and forth. So if you're wanting to use this to try and cover your back, Well, you can only have one at a time. So it would behoove you just to pretty much keep only one with you, unless you just wanted to have one, proximity around a specific room that you're going to be moving in. Now, something I know some people have asked me about when I was looking into this turret is whether or not it will go after animals like bear. So let's spawn it in. We'll get a regular bear and see what it does here. See if it can take down a bear before it gets over here and kills me. As you can see, it's shooting the bear and it's causing it to stun a little bit, so it's keeping it from advancing too far on it. It's doing quite a bit of damage as is, but we'll see if it can take it out. So it did manage to take it out, and the bear didn't go after the turret itself. Now, it used a lot of ammo to be able to take out the bear, but for those wondering whether or not you can kill a bear with an auto turret, yes, you can, and you can take out zombies too, and the other wildlife, the coyote and the bobcat that was just added, the mountain lion, those also work. Now, something else that's been interestingly enough to have me test out here, we're going to try out a demolition zombie. Now, I've done a video on these already covering how they work, but what we need to do is we're going to spawn this bad boy in, and then turn him off real quick so that he stands still. That was what we're going to test right there, is whether or not the turret could actually trigger the explosion. Because detonation zombies, or demolition zombies I guess is what they're actually called, you can kill them completely without them exploding. They only go off when you hit the no-no button on their chest and it goes from green to red. So some people had asked, well, what if you have a turret set up and one of these bad boys walks into your base? Will it possibly set it off? And yes, it showed right there that it did. It shot it, triggered the button, and it went off. But if you did see right there, when he blew a small crater, it blew out the wood that was underneath it, it dropped the turret, and it just placed it back on the ground. So that is one of those things that's absolutely fantastic, is if you do happen to have this sitting up on top of, let's say, a couple frames, and you go ahead and pick it up real quick, it'll slowly lower itself to the ground and then place it there again. So if you have it placed and a block gets blown out underneath it, you're not going to accidentally come back and see your turret has been destroyed. So that is absolutely wonderful. Alright, so now we'll test out real quick and see how far away you can get before it goes to sleep. So we got one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so it looks like right at 13 here. As long as I'm right here on the 12th block, it's active, but as soon as I step off, it goes to sleep. So it looks like it's right about 13 blocks. From what I've gathered so far, that's not too bad away. I mean, 13 blocks is pretty good. Give you a chance to fortify a room or something with it. So proper usage of this would be to, have it out, get ready to go, whatever, and you walk into a POI, you get ready to check it out. It's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and just place it right there, let it defend me while I'm looting this room up here. That way you can kind of loot in, freedom of not worrying about something coming up on you. Even if this thing decides to not kill anything, here, I'm turning the AI back on so you can see what it's doing. Even if it decides to not kill anything, if it just starts shooting and there's too many there, you can hear it going off. And so that's one of the big pluses, is it's an alarm system if nothing else. Then you're done clearing this room, decide, okay, well, I'll come over here and check this room out, and go ahead and I'll just put you right there, cover you just a little bit while I'm looking over here, and anything happens to wander into this particular room, which there's a Cowboy Bob in there, he decides to step out while you're in the process of looting, whatever, then he'll get hit with the turret. Now, of course, if they just walk through it, it doesn't spin all the way around. It's only directional of about, let's see, it goes to from about that direction. Let's see how far it goes over, because I'm curious too, as the radius which this thing travels. So we'll sit out here. We'll kind of look at it as a straight line. Okay, so from 180 degrees, being a right straight line all the way to the right, looks like it's about 45 degrees that way, until 45 degrees that way. Okay, so it looks like it covers about a full 90-degree arc here, so it's not going to get the full sides here, so you definitely don't want to try and use this to cover your back if you're going to be in a large room, because it's only going to be able to cover. Putting it into the entranceway would be a good way, a kind of a choke point like this. That way, if they come through, they have to kind of funnel right into the middle of it. All right, so we got a couple in here. Let her stumble over here and see if it can do enough damage. Okay, so we got one going into rage mode here. It ran right on past it. But that's not too bad of an idea to use it that way anyway, though. Just because you got one zombie coming down here, it'll soften them up a little bit so you can do the stabby bits if they do manage to make it past it. And again, you can just pick it up and take off running again. The junk turret is something that I've had a whole lot of fun with. It's absolutely wonderful, and the fact that you can find them laying around is just absolutely fantastic. As I said, it's great. I have a good time with it. I think that's one of the coolest things they added to the game is the junk turret. Now, here's something else to keep in mind. There's two things to keep in mind. I'm going to place you down right there so you can look at him while I'm showing these people something. You can add mods to this bad boy, and there's quite a few that you can add. You can add cosmetics like the dyes, which only do cosmetic now. There's anything to it, but there's a bunch of different mods. I don't have them all in here right now, but you can add a ton of mods to it. But something else that you can keep in mind is the quality of the turret. And not specifically based just on the level, but the quality of the turret will give it different amount of ammo. Its magazine size. So you can see this level 4 I have here, it's got a magazine size of 52, but this level 1, it's got a magazine size of level 56. So that's one of those, the way they've changed up the quality is, the level of it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the absolute best one that you have there. Of course, crafting a higher setting one versus finding one. Like I gave myself this through the creative menu, so it didn't do as nearly as good as crafting. They've really tried to emphasize making things versus just giving yourself that. So if you craft a high level junk turret, then you could possibly go ahead and get a much better stats than the ones that I have here. Alright guys, well that is the ins and out of the junk turret. If you have any questions, of course leave them in the comment section down below and I'll see if I can answer them for you. If you enjoyed the video or found it useful, maybe consider leaving a like on the video. And if you're new here and you want to, maybe consider subscribing and hitting the little bell icon so you get notified when new videos go live. Thank you guys so much for all your support. You guys have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later.